Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at race number 10 at Keeneland on Saturday. It's the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley Stakes for fillies and mares going 1 1/16 miles on the turf. Now you can bet race number 10, obviously, with DRF bets, but you're going to want to get down a little bit earlier and take advantage of the first post bonus on the preps presented by DRF bets. Bet $25 to win on one horse in race number 1 at Keeneland and or Oaklawn, the two sites where the major Kentucky Derby preps will be held on Saturday. Get a $10 bonus. With DRF bets, Mike, it's as easy as ready, set, bet. Let's take a look at the field for the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley. Fair to say that Chad Brown's got this race surrounded. The number 2 Rushing Fall is the speed. The number 4 Rimska is the stalker. The number 8 On the Moon again is the closer. And lo and behold, Chad ran 1, 2, 3 in this race last year.
Yeah, the rest of this field I think should consider themselves lucky that it doesn't have 4 in here, because the defending Jenny Wiley champ, sister Charlie, was supposed to run this race, but she had a little setback. That would have been fun if he had 4 in here, but he's only got 3. They are the 3 favorites on the morning line. All 3 of them, I think, are very logical in here. Personally, I have, little nagging questions about all of them, so I didn't want to take any of them on top, but I'm not going to be surprised if one of them wins.
Let's dive into some of those nagging questions, beginning with the 6-5 morning line favorite, Rushing Fall, who has not been seen in over 6 months. Her last start was when she won the Queen Elizabeth II Cup, going 1 1/8 miles, a race in which she was just, for some reason, allowed to set an absolutely easy, uncontested lead. She took a strong challenge from a European invader in the stretch and still had plenty to hold her off. That race was run to suit her perfectly. You're going to have to deal with her off a layoff, but boy, she loves Keeneland.
She loves Keeneland. She's, so far anyway in her career, she's fired off the layoff without fail, so I don't think you really have to worry about that. She's drawn very nicely towards the inside. So she'll probably get a good trip in this race, too. There's a lot of things to like about her. She's obviously very talented. 1 loss in her career so far, and even in that race, she was probably best. She just got really unlucky not to win. So it's hard to knock her, Dan. You go back and you look at that QE2 Cup her most recent start. I mean, they basically handed the race to her on a silver platter. I mean, I think she is facing some much better horses this time. I think this is the toughest field she's ever faced in her life. Off a layoff at 6-5. I'm going to try and beat this horse, but I'm not going to be surprised when she wins.
The number 4 Rimska defeated 3 of these common foes when taking the Grade 2 Hillsborough in her second start as a 5-year-old. Let's go back 1 start prior in the Swanee River Stakes, and I think Arad Ortiz was just a little bit too confident. There was no pace whatsoever. Yeah. Valedictorian went the half in 51-4, 116-3, and Arad was just sort of sitting on Rimska in mid-pack. Yeah. Rimska ran at the end of that race, but she would have had to have taken a plane to catch Valedictorian the final 16th of a mile, and I think Arad realized that last time out in the Hillsborough, because he made a concerted effort to stay closer to the pace. She ended up in the pocket. She had to bull her way out at the 3/16 pole, but Mike, once she got clear, she flew home.
Nah, she exploded in there as soon as he got her into the clear. She ran really well in that race. It was nice to see her get back to showing the good tactical dimension, because she's shown that in the past. They don't always use it with her, but she does have it. And it's nice to know that she can get forward and still finish like that. That was a really impressive win last time. I think if she runs a race like that back, she might be more likely to win than her stablemate, Rushing Fall, is. I like Rimska a lot, Dan. I didn't pick her this time. I like her a lot, though, and I think she's really dangerous here.
On the Moon, again, ran in that Hillsborough, and I think she was compromised by the lack of pace in that race. It was her first start since October. She was far behind. You could see that Jose Ortiz wanted to try to get into the race a little bit with a wide bit on the backstretch, and then kind of realized, boy, I'm going to have to go wide into the stretch. And then he decided, well, let's go for it anyway. And she kind of flattened out late. I think she felt the effects of the layoff and the trip that day. This is a Chad formulator fact that has worked for him in the past at Keeneland in this race. Past 4 years, older horses, graded stake, turf router, second off the layoff at Keeneland, 20%, 230. But I believe Ball Dancing used that prep at Tampa Bay to propel her to a win in the Jenny Wiley. This horse has shown some ability. She's going to need a little pace up front.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I mean, you're at the point with her, and she's clearly has talent, Dan. It's interesting to me, anyway, that Chad keeps backing her up in distance. I'm not surprised that he's backing her up for this race, because this is a major race on the early part of the calendar, and she deserves a chance to win it. I guess the real question is, knowing that she's good, you've seen her 4 times now. in the States, and you can make excuses for all 4 of those races, basically. So how many more excuses do you really want to make for her? I don't really want to make that many more, and I wonder if this is really the spot for her, but she's another one. I mean, I think she has a pretty good amount of ability. I'm not going to be surprised when she runs really well in here. I just don't want to bet her.
Good year for Roses, was one of the better turf mares in Southern California towards the end of 2016 into 2017. She then went away for a very long time. She returned with a useful effort in the Endeavor. Last time out, she might have regressed a little bit in the Hillsborough. She's making her 3rd start of the layoff for Brian House, who has very good numbers with these kind of horses. Over the past 5 years, according to this formulator fact, with older turf routers making their 3rd start off a layoff, 27% winners and almost a $6 ROI. Now she's going to have to reach back, way back into her past performances to find a representative race to win this race. But maybe 3rd start off the layoff's the charm. I need to see it.
Yeah, but at least, you know, if you wanted to go this way, at least she's going to be a big price, and you know she has those races back there because she's run some really good ones. I felt like her first start off that long layoff was actually a pretty good performance, and I thought it might have set her up to take a step forward last time in the Hillsborough. That didn't happen. But maybe she'll take a step forward this time. She's going to be a huge price in here.
I thought Got Stormy was placed brilliantly by Mark Casse last year, just finding the right spots. The Penn Oaks, the Wild Applause, the Ontario Colleen. Those were 3 races where she should have been very competitive. She won all of them. And then I think she was unlucky that she caught soft ground in the Pebbles and off the turf race in the Winter Memories. And I think Casse wisely stopped on her after that race. They brought her back in her first start as a 4-year-old. She looked very good visually. She didn't beat anything, and the time was slow.
Yeah, it was a slow pace, though. So and she came home as fast as you would want her to come, and she won the race very easily. It wasn't much of a field. She had a perfect trip, but just strictly in terms of a prep race, it's probably pretty perfect.
Absolutely.
I mean, she didn't have to really dig down deep. Now they come for the grade 1. She's facing some much better horses here. I think the real question is what you were sort of alluding to. He's found good spots for her as a 3-year-old, and she came through when she was supposed to. I would point to the Edgewood. If you want to bet her in here, I would point to that race. She was behind Rushing Fall that day, but she actually ran, I thought she ran pretty well in that race. And I think that race suggests that she has it in her to be this kind of a horse.
And as we take a look at the Timeform US pace projector, we expect her to be close to the pace. Now, I'm not sure I agree with the pace projector. I'm not sure Bellevay and Got Stormy are going to be out there on the early lead. I'm just assuming Javier is going to take a fresh Rushing Fall and try to go to the front and play Catch Me If You Can. But I do think Got Stormy is either going to be sitting second, or if for some reason Rushing Fall concedes, Got Stormy might be able to even get to the lead in this race. Let's talk a little bit about the 1, Phantom Opening, a horse that also has a little bit of tactical speed. Phantom Opening was just no match for Rimska last time out, and it's questionable whether she's truly a graded type.
Yeah, she did her best last time. I think she did pretty well to get 4th, but it didn't make me feel like she could step up and win the Jenny Wiley in her next start.
Princess Warrior, the 3, is a very likable filly. Last time out, she won the Latonia over a synthetic surface. It was her first start off the layoff. It was a very solid win, where she was just better than those horses. But she won the Mrs. Revere over yielding ground. A little bit of cut in the ground would not hurt this horse at all. And I do think she has enough tactical speed to be close. There are a lot of folks that have been arguing with me recently that she's a 1-run closer. I don't think she's a 1-run closer.
She looked like a 1-run closer last time. They put her right into position. I know those were weaker horses on a different surface, but they put her right into position, and she won as easy as you would want her to win. Her first start as a 4-year-old. She's got upside. Her turf form is not bad. Does she have to improve to beat this field? Yeah, she does, but she's a newly turned 4-year-old who could actually do that.
Let's take a look at our top selections now for the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley Stakes. You're going with the number 6, Bellevay, 8-1 on the morning line. Marshua's River winner, 2 starts back. Thought Javier gave her a nice trip there. It saved ground, back to the inside, had to alter course up the rail. But I like the way Bellevay just kind of took Javier through that hole and was able to get it done. Last time out in the Honey Fox, that was just a race where she... the trip just, I didn't think worked out for her.
That's how I feel about it, too. You know, it'll be interesting to see if this field is just a little too tough for her. I think it might be, but it might not be either. I mean, since Pletcher's taken her over, and listen, I felt like she had a lot of potential when Toner had her. She's gotten better since Pletcher's taken over the reins on her. Her last 4 starts, I think, are all good. She had an excuse in the My Charmer 3-back. Last time, I just don't think it worked out that well for her. I think part of the problem was that she was drawn outside, and Rosario decided to angle her over to the rail, and he was behind the 1-2 finishers the entire way. They got clean runs through the second turn. She did not. She got held up as they were making the runs, and then when she got clear, she was actually finishing really well in there, and she still never got clear late, always over behind horses. I just feel like she ran better than it looks last time, Dan. If she gets a better trip in this race, I think she can go with these horses and she'll be a price.
You just wonder what would have happened if Joelle could have gotten her out earlier. Because I think if she does, she probably wins that race.
She might have.
And she still earned her career best by her speed figure despite the difficulty. Now, yes, she's stepping up, but she has shown some ability. Where do you think she's going to be placed? Julien Leparoux takes them out. Now, Julien is a great on-the-pace rider. I'm not sure she's fast enough to make the lead. Timeform US thinks she can be close, but it's nice to know that if this pace is moderate, she can adapt.
That's not her running style, I don't think, to go to the front, but I think, she, especially now that she's not drawn way outside, I think she can get forward and over to the rail, get her covered up, you know, somewhere in the second flight maybe. That kind of trip could really work out for her.
Mike's going to go with Beleve, 6'4", 8". I like the way Rimska finished up last time out. Really the key is Arad Ortiz has to keep her close to the pace and let her fire home, because when she kicks, she has a very strong kick. We're both going to try to beat the favorite Rushing Fall. Again, 6'4", 8" for Mike, 4'2", 8'6" for me. In the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley Stakes, race 10 at Keeneland on a stakes-packed card. Bet race number 1, it's not a stake, but you get a first post bonus. Bet $25 to win on one horse in race number 1, any one horse. Get a $10 bonus, win or lose. DRF.com/preps is where you need to go for all the details. Jenny Wiley has an approximate post time of 6:12 Eastern. Best of luck.